Hello and welcome to day 132 of Facebook Live, of 365 days of Facebook Live. My name is Jessica Lozano and I'm a women's relationship and feminine embodiment mentor. And we have a great story today because it is day 5 of the, how do I do this? Day 5 of the 5-part series of Finding the One. So this is the best part of the entire story. So where we left off is that I had broken up with my ex-fiance. I'm feeling ecstatic. I am high off of life. I've decided I'm leaving corporate and I'm taking the actions to leave. I drastically reduced my time in the corporate. I'm making decisions to, opening up my LLC. What do I need to do? All of these things. I'm feeling really good. Like my house, I just have the mattress and the beanbag chair. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling free. I'm feeling just so happy. Like I'm singing in my car, just feeling so alive. And I remember feeling like, holy shit, this is what true happiness feels like. I have never known true happiness my entire life, right? At 29, I now know what happiness feels like. So my dad is coming over my house. He's like, hanging out with me, all the things, kind of like filling me out. Then he says to me, I keep getting messages. Then he says to me one day, as we're hanging out, enjoying his company, all the things. And I live way out of the way from him too. I'm thinking that he thinks that I'm lonely, right? Which I'm not. I'm like so happy. Like I'm living life on my own terms. Like I'm just feeling so good. I start showing up on Facebook a lot more, like really being my authentic self. And then he says, well, are you dating? I was like, no, I'm focused on my career, very light. And then he says, well, are you open to it? And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm not jaded, that's not what my area of concern is right now. Like I'm going to be, in May, I'm going to be starting my new business. I'm just really focused on my career and on myself, all of those things. Then he says, well, I have someone for you. I'm like, what? What do you mean you have someone for me? He's like, yeah, I have this guy. And I was like, okay. He's like, I have a picture. I was like, okay, sure. Show me the picture. So he shows me this picture. I see this guy like working out with his shirt off. I see all his muscles, like everything's just like popping out. Like he's in his workout. I think he's doing like a kettlebell swing or something like that, or like a snatch with a kettlebell. And I'm like, ooh, he has like a little beard, little pepper beard going on, and he's wearing a hat, but like I could see his face and his muscles. I was like, ooh. I was like, he's really hot, Dad. You can totally give him my number. But also, I'm like, this is really weird, Dad. Please don't ever show me a picture with a guy with his shirt off ever again. So we laugh. So I was like, all right, well, here's a picture of me that you can send to him. So the picture that I chose is a couple weeks earlier, I was at a car show that my corporate was like a luxury car show that we were hosting, like the facility that I worked in was hosting. And I wore this Marciano white dress. It was kind of like a mid long sleeve here, and tight to the skin. And it had this like a gold glitter shimmer thing. Very beautiful dress. And as soon as you walk out, as you enter the car show, there was this shiny royal blue, like Ferrari or something like that, some kind of really fancy sports car. So I loved the car. I love sports cars. And I had my friend take a picture of me in front of this car. So that's the picture that I send. I'm like, here, Dad, here's my most recent picture. Send this to him. And obviously you can share my number. So what had happened is like, how does this guy have, how does my dad have a guy for me? So what happened is that he was planning to come down to see his grandmother that lives here. So he lives in Jersey. He was going to visit his grandmother for like a few weeks, and he was thinking about moving down. His grandmother, Jima, being a really hip grandmother, was like, well, he's not going to want to hang out with just me, like this silly old lady, for like the whole time. I was like, and he wants to move down here, let me see if there's any other like women out there that like, let me put my feelers out to see like, maybe I can introduce him to somebody and he has a more grand time here in Florida. So she's putting her feelers out, and she goes and tells my dad's wife, who is her nail tech, that her grandson is coming down, and do you know anybody? So she's been asking her this question over and over and over. And she's like, well, I think I know somebody, but I don't know if she's ready. I don't know. And then, she keeps asking. And then one day she's like, you know what? Let me just find out. Let me ask my husband to see if she's ready. So, I don't think she is, because she knew that just 3 months prior, I had broken up an engagement. So that's why my father was at my house all the time, getting the feels for where I was at, right? So that's when he asked me, I was like, of course, yeah, I'm not jaded. I'm just, just not focusing on that. So, that's how that connection was set up. And when he told me that he was from Jersey, I'm like, oh, this is safe. This is great. I'm like, he lives in Jersey. If things don't work out, I'll never have to fucking see him ever again, right? So I sent him that picture. My dad sends it to his wife. She sends it to Gma. Gma sends it to him, right? This is getting the pass around. And I think this is about March, because he's coming in April for his spring break for like 2 to 3 weeks. Like spring break time. So, my dad keeps asking me, he's like, so has he called you? Has he called you? Has he called you? Has he called you? Has he messaged him? Like, no, Dad, I haven't gotten anything. And I'm very light about it. I'm like, this guy looks really hot. Like, I would love to see him, but I'm not going to put any expectations on it. And I'm just going to continue to live my life, right? I'm not worried about this person at all, right? So we're growing. And one day I'm I'm living my daily life, working out, getting started on my new business, doing the things that I think I need to do, just doing what I want to do, going grocery shop, like normal things, right? And one day, just going into Publix, our local grocery store, I'm right in front of the coffee aisle, and I get a text message. And it was just the numbers. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a referral from a client of somebody who wants to work with me, because I would always get referrals, and they would get my number, and they would text me and like, hey, I'm looking for a trainer, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, it's probably, someone who's interested in training. So I opened the message, and it said, hi, I'm Ronald Harpence II, grandson of Sandy Gaynor, and, and she's like 2 paragraphs. And it took me a while. I'm like, what? So I read it again. I'm like, who is this person? I'm like, oh, I think this is the person that my dad was trying to set me up with. I was like, oh, and then he says something along the lines of like, I'm not planning to move down for like 2 years. Just, I really want you to know that. So like 2 paragraphs. And I was like, oh, hey. I'm like, well, I think honesty is the best policy. Something corny I said like that. And we just start texting. I don't really remember what we were texting about, but we're like texting, and I'm feeling really giddy, right? As we're texting, I'm like, oh, like this is fun. Like this is the first guy I'm gonna I've talked to since the breakup with my ex. And like this whole time, my whole life surrounded this guy. I have not, even those times that I had broken up with him, like I never dated anyone. I never got anyone's number. There was nothing of that. My whole life revolved around my ex-fiance, right? So I was like, this is so exciting. This is so much fun. Right, we're texting, I'm like really giddy. I'm like fantasizing about like him, and like innocent fantasy, right? Not like anything like I'm just leaning into it, but I'm just like daydreaming. It was more like a daydreaming, not fantasizing. I was like daydreaming about like, what would it be like? What would it be like to go on a date, and like all of these things. So like we're texting, and my dad's asking me like, oh, well, have you talked to him on the phone? I'm like, no, like we've just been texting. He's like, well, why not? But I'm like, because I don't know, maybe that's how things are done these days. I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm like, but I'm fine. Like, we're just texting, you know? Like, I had zero expectations on this. Now, one of the decisions that I decided to make, now that I'm like, okay, there's a guy that I'm talking to that could potentially lead to a date, that whatever. Either way, I'm talking to a guy, period, end of story. I was like, I'm going to make sure I am my most authentic self. I am not ever again going to do what I did before, which was bend over backwards, put a mask on, be someone that I'm not say what I want to say. I was like, I'm really going to be myself. Like, I'm committed. That was my commitment, right? When I had gotten engaged with my ex, and I fully stood by it. And I'm like, I had just went through the initiations of a lifetime. I was like, I'm going to stay in that power. Like, I'm not going back. Like, that is my commitment to myself. I'm not going back to what the fuck that shit was. I was like, I'm going to be myself, authentic and free. So, time's going by. He comes down to Florida and we decide, because he's also into exercise, I'm a trainer. I was like, well, let's meet up at the gym first, right? I'm not sure how this conversation went. I think I said, oh, let me get you a guest pass. I got at the gym that I work at. You know, it's a really nice gym. He's really going to enjoy it. And, you know, we can probably like work out together, right? We can get to feel each other's vibes, right? So Instagram is out by this time. So we see each other's like Instagram and like Facebook, like we exchange those things. So we decide that we were going to do a workout as soon as I was done with my clients. Somewhere around 11 o'clock. I would give him a guest pass and he would come. So I'm like telling all my girlfriends, right? Of course, they know. I'm like, yeah, there's this guy. I'm going to meet him. Like, this is the first time we haven't, like, you know, That day I put like eyeshadow on. I never wear makeup. I only wear like the base, my lashes. I think at the time I never even did my eyebrows. It's just mascara. And like, that was it. That was my day-to-day makeup. Very simple. And this time I was like, oh, I'm gonna put like eyeshadow on. I put like eyeshadow on and like make sure I had lip gloss and all of the things, right? Like, I'm feeling so giddy. I'm feeling like this like teenager, like, you know, so innocent, so fun. And like, okay, I'm getting ready, like time's getting closer. He's like, all right, I'm on my way. Blah, blah, blah. So right before he's like walking down, he says, oh, by the way, I'm 5'2". And I was like, oh, well, I guess we'll just have a good workout. And it was really fun texting each other and things like that. Cause like for me, that was like a standard of mine. My man has to be taller than me. I don't like date guys that are my size. Like it's always been a thing of mine. I need to like that. My man needs to feel bigger than me. Right? Like, I don't date guys that are smaller than me. I just don't like that. Just a standard. So I'm like, well, you're going to show me how you take your pictures because you definitely don't look 5'2". Very just whatever. I'm just going to have fun with this date. No expectations. So I'm like still kind of giddy, right? Like still excited to see what this guy, you know, is. And which I think he may have definitely like lowered my expectations a little bit. I think that was totally his vibe. So I go to the counter and there's like a lot of people there. And then I'm pretty sure I see him and I go to the side. I'm like, Ron? And he's like, hi. And then there's like this awkward, like, you know, meeting. And like, I just remember seeing his blue eyes. I was like, oh my God, his eyes, like they're so gorgeous. And I was like, oh, like I have a guest pass for him, whatever. So I'm trying my hardest, you know, clearly he's not 5'2". He was like way taller, nice and buff, like just how I like it. And I was like, okay, good, right? So like the giddiness really returned and I'm like walking up to show him where the men's locker room is. And I could see the woman's on the side, like looking at me like this, like, like we're watching. And I was just like, and I'm trying really hard to not show this super giddy expression. Like I feel very much so like all this happy sensation running my body, but I didn't want him to show like this super giddiness. Like I didn't want to. So he goes in the locker room, we go upstairs. We start foam rolling, and he says things like, if this isn't your vibe, or if you do, if we don't click, you can just tell me, like, I'll be fine. I'm like, all right, I got you. Like, I will let you know. And then he said that like a couple of times, like, okay, like, look, bro, chill. Like, just, we'll be fine. He's like, okay. So we go and we get on the treadmill or on the elliptical to warm up. And I'm feeling really good. And I see like some hair that he has on his back. I was like, and for a split second, I was like, oh. But I was like, Jessica, you can totally shave that off. I was like, don't be picky like that. I was like, that's nothing. I was like, no. So I was like, boom, correct myself. Okay, did it up. We decide to do separate workouts. I'm training for a Spartan race, right? So I have a specific thing. He's a very bodybuilder. So we're working out. I ask him to spot me on one of the workouts. And every time my back is towards him, I put this huge like kind of smile like that. Like my whole body is like racing with like joy. And I'm trying my hardest for him not to see that, because I feel like it's a lot, And just when I see him, I do smile, but I'm just, trying not to like, you know what I mean? So after that, the plan was to go get smoothies. And then after that, we were going to go to the beach. And so we go get smoothies, and he pays for my smoothie. And then we're like, and he orders like 3 things. I was like, this guy eats a lot, but of course he's a freaking bodybuilder. So, we're like talking, and I'm talking a lot because I'm really nervous, and he's like smiling. You can see that he's also nervous, like trying to like fidgeting a little bit, not knowing what to do. And I just remember like seeing him, and like his eyes, like the sun was just hitting him, like, wow, this guy's gorgeous. And he's engaging in the conversation as well. Like, I'm just talking a lot because I'm nervous, and I'm just like, that's what happens when I get nervous sometimes, I'm just talking and I'm just being myself. So then we go to my house because I need to change. I need to get into my bathing suit because I didn't bring my bathing suit, because this was my way out. Like, if I don't click with him, or I'm not feeling it, like when I go home, I'm going to say that the smoothie hurt my stomach, but I'm digging it. I'm digging this guy. I was like, I'm definitely not going to say that. So we get to the house, I invite him up. And my house is like bare. It's just like a mattress and the beanbag chair, right? It's just bare. Go to my room, I change, and then we go and we take my car. So at the time, I had no idea about sexual polarity. I had 0 idea about it. So I decided to drive, and we're going to take my car. And at this point, sexual polarity wasn't, my thing was more about authenticity. Can I be authentic with myself with him, right? And if he would have said something like, oh no, like I want to drive, I would have been like, okay, no problem. I wouldn't have been like, no. But maybe it was a safety thing. I can't remember. I knew I was really into him, but I think it was maybe more of like, well, if I wanted to go, like I could say like, can we go, kind of type of thing. But either way, it was more about like, I just want to be authentic. And I loved my Lexus, and I wanted to show off my Lexus, right? So again, like still in this kind of like thinking that if I show him that I have things and I have nice things, like he's gonna like value me more. But whatever. I was just like, just being my authentic self. That was my priority. I had no idea about sexual polarity, just authenticity. I really wanted to drive my car, and I really wanted to show him my car. Plus, he was driving his grandmother's bonus car, which was like a Corolla, like a very basic Corolla. And I didn't like it, to be honest. I was like, I want to go in my Lexus. So we drive to the beach. We get there, I don't know, like 12 o'clock or something like that, or 1 o'clock. But we were there all day. It was like it's like the perfect beach day for me, which is clear blue skies, nothing, no clouds in the sky. The water was just so peaceful and passive. There was nobody in the beach. So because like, especially where I always go, there's usually not a lot of people, but even more so today, there was like a lot less people. So we're hanging out there, I'm in my bathing suit, my bikini, and he's in his bathing suit. And we're just hanging out there all day till about like 8 o'clock. And we're just talking, getting to know each other, having a really good time. And I head home, and I'm like, of course, I tell everyone, I think we hug and, say goodbye or something like that. We don't kiss or anything like that. And I'm like so excited. I think he texts me as soon as he gets home. Like we're just consistently texting each other. So I knew that weekend he was going to go see his grandparents that were like 4 hours away. So he drove to see his grandparents. We're still like texting the entire time, texting. He shows me a picture of him and his nana, like all the things. And then like he's telling me like all these plans that his grandmother is making for him. Like we're gonna do this on Monday, we're gonna do this on Tuesday. And I'm like, what about me? What about me? Right? I'm like, time is getting closer. And like, I need to know, like, if on the weekend, if we're going to hang out or not. Right? And this is where I was like, okay, I really need to tell him how I feel. Like, I need to tell him, like, doesn't seem like he's making plans for me. Like, his grandmother is like putting things on him. It's like, where am I? And my desire was to see him again. I really wanted to see him again. And I wanted to know if I needed to make plans for the weekend to like, you know, to not make plans for the weekend to make space for him, or if, you know, I don't know, maybe he wasn't as into me as I was, or whatever it is. I just need to know what's going to happen. So this was the first time that I really voiced my feminine desire to him that was so authentic, that was so from the heart, that was like, this is something I would never have done in the past. But again, I made this commitment to myself that I'm going to be authentic, that I'm going to share my heart, that I'm going to be who I am. And if he can handle it, great. And if he cannot handle it, then it's not it. I was willing to face rejection for my authenticity. I was like, I would rather get rejected and he tell me that he doesn't like me, and as long as I'm authentic. So I say to him, I send a text message because we're just texting this whole time. I was like, so are you going to make time for the woman that you came here to see? And I put like exclamation mark, because me and him are conversating in exclamation marks because we're just so happy like talking to each other. And I put the heart emojis, right? Something I would never have done before. I would absolutely do not show any emotion, right? Just be very neutral. And I just really expressed what I wanted. And he's like, of course, exclamation mark. How about Thursday? I'm like, yeah, Thursday works. And then he's like, okay, pick a restaurant and let me know. So again, at the time, I didn't know about these sexual polarities. And at the time, it was actually very good for me. It felt good that he was allowing me to make decisions, because I came from a relationship where my decisions weren't always like, my opinions or my desires, my wants, my needs weren't always like valued, right? So the fact that he was asking me where I wanted to go, I was like, okay, this is good. You know, now I would probably tell women to, you know, maybe just let him make the plans or give him a couple of options or whatever. But again, it was more about my authenticity. I was like, okay, yes, I'm totally gonna look. So like, okay, I can't have it too expensive and I can't have it too cheap either. So I picked this place called Brûlée, which is a French-American cuisine. I'm like, okay, the prices look pretty good. Let me send it to him and see what he thinks. I'm like, so I send it to him and then he makes the reservations. So he did take leadership on that. He makes the reservations and all the things. I think he just confirmed with me if the time was good. I'm like, yeah. So I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going. Like, this was like the first official date. Technically it's the second, but like to me it's the first official date because it's like a formal date. The first one was just like, let's just see how we feel. But still, you know, it's kind of like a date, but this is like the real date. So I'm telling my girlfriends, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. We're going on a date with him. This is so much fun. So I call my friend Shiva, who was like a fashionista. I was like, do you have anything that I can borrow? Because she's like all about the fashion. So we're trying on different clothes. Like, no, this is not it. No, it's not it. Finally, I put on this blue romper and I was like, OMG. I was like, this is it. It was like beautiful, lacy, perfect length and short, not too long. I was like, this, and it was like an open back. I was like, this is gorgeous. Like, this is the dress, this is the outfit. So it's like, and it's blue. So I picked that one and I wear it with nude stiletto heels with a closed-toed nude stiletto heels. And he comes to my house and, you know, I let him in. I'm still not ready. So I needed help to button up the top, and of course you always make him wait, right? So like I gotta make him wait a little bit. So then I come out in my outfit, right? And I'm wearing these heels, like super hot. He's like, I see his outfit, like, okay, nice top, jeans. I look at his shoes and he's wearing flip-flops. I remember looking at them, I'm like, that's odd. It's like flip-flops. I was like, and then again, I was like, don't worry, Jessica, you can always buy him shoes. Like, this is not a big deal. But I thought it was like really interesting. I was like, that's funny. And then later on, he told me, like, he was like, well, I wasn't really planning to go on a date, you know, and like he hates packing anyway. So I asked my grandma which shoes would be better, and she chose the flip-flops. So I was like, well, you know, it's very Florida. It's very Florida, very like surfer Florida like vibes. So he drives, we go in his car, and that one I really allowed him to take that leadership. I wasn't going to go and ask him. Number one, I was definitely not going to ask him to drive my car. And number two, I wasn't going to drive there. Even though I didn't like this Corolla and I knew it wasn't his car, it was his grandmother's, I was like, I'm, you know, going to let him do that. So we get there, and I was just like, oh my God, what do I do? Is he going to like hold my hand? Do I hold his hand? Do I not hold his hand? So I'm in my head about this. We get out, we start walking, and he grabs my hand. I was like, he's grabbing my hand. Oh my God. So then we get there. It's like, okay, we have reservations. We had to wait for a little bit for our table to be ready. And then I'm getting like compliments about my outfit, like left and right. Like, oh my God, that outfit's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. Like so many compliments. I'm like, thank you so much, right? So then we go and sit down. The waitress comes and she's like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. She's like, how long have you guys been dating for? How long have you guys been together? And we look at each other and we look at her like, this is actually our first date. She's like, what? Oh my God, it looks like you guys been together for years. You guys are so cute. And I'm like, right? So now, this is the first time I'm going to be eating food, right? I had a smoothie before on the first time we met. Like you can just sip that out of a straw. So one of the things that I've always had with myself was I felt very uncomfortable eating in front of people that were new, especially with a guy. And I would always order something that I could cut up really small. Like I wouldn't order a salad, even if I really wanted a salad, because I didn't want to put this whole huge thing in my mouth, like the lettuce and all that in my mouth. And it was just always a very uncomfortable experience, or I would barely eat. So this time I was like, you know what? You're not going to hide yourself. You're a messy eater. Just tell him you're a messy eater. So I said, by the way, I'm a really messy eater. I was like, just so you know, I might make a mess. I might put this huge thing in my mouth and like be chewing very awkwardly. And he's like, don't worry. He's like, I am too. So like we're eating, like I'm just feeling so free, right? This whole time I'm like, I'm loving how authentic I am, and I'm loving how he's receiving me. He's just receiving all of me. He is not like judging me. Like I just feel so good. So we're done with dinner, and then we go for a little bit of a walk. We sit on this bench, like people watching basically, but not necessarily people watching. So we sit down, and then like we're quiet, and I was like, oh God, do I fill up the silence? Like what do I do? I was like, I have no idea what to do. And I was like, Jessica, do you want to talk right now? It's like, not really. It's like, then just enjoy. Just enjoy. I was like, okay, right? Authentic self, just enjoy. So we're holding hands, and he's rubbing my finger like this, you know, and I'm like, you know, rubbing my finger back with him, right? And then we're complete. And when we're going back to my house, we park, and I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna kiss me? Like, what do I do? Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen. Is he gonna like walk me up all the way upstairs? Like, what's gonna happen right now? So I get out of the car, and he's walking around, and I'm kind of have my head down because I'm really nervous. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so nervous. And he comes in and just like, wow, kisses me. And we are making out for like what feels like an hour. Probably was more. I have no idea. I know we were downstairs in the parking lot for a really long time making out. And I'm thinking, this guy is such a good kisser. I was like, oh my God, like I can just be here for hours. And he takes his hand, tries to go to my ass, and I'm like, absolutely not. He respects it, you know? So we keep making out. Finally, we're done. And I was just like, wow. So then I go upstairs, I can't remember if he walked me all the way up or not. And I'm like, oh my God, what an amazing night. And again, we're still texting. I think he texts me when he gets home, all of the things. And then I was like, oh my God, we had such an amazing experience. And then the next day he's at the beach and I go see him. He invites me over and I could only stay for a little bit. I think I had plans that evening. I don't remember what they were. And I'm like, fuck, do I kiss him? Do I not kiss him? I have no idea what to do. Like, I have no idea what to do. So I'm walking up. I'm like, I don't know. We already had this full makeout session. I'm like, I don't know. So he comes in and I'm like, I give him a pop kiss real quick and I turn my face because I was like, I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know if I make out with him again. I don't know if I do a really long kiss. So I just like, quick pop kiss. I don't know if he's gonna even accept it or reject it, right? Like, this is what I'm thinking in my whole mind. And like, we're laying down and like, he starts drinking egg whites out of a carton. I'm like, okay, that's really weird. I was like, but he's a bro, so whatever. Just like, don't think that I'm gonna do that. So we hang out for like an hour or so. And I go for the rest of my day. And we keep texting. We're having like such a great time. He asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to go to a cooking class? And I'm like, sure, that'd be fun. And this is the first time that I started to feel weird, like just within me. And I think what the weird feeling was, like, it was that I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so expansive. And like, wow, like we're spending this time together. Like, this feels like, I don't know if it was like a timeline shift. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was like just a kind of weird. We still had a really good time and we kept going, obviously, like kept texting, but it was like really weird. And I think it was me and the questioning of like, can things actually feel this good? Like, can things really feel this good? You know, it's like it was almost like we were in a relationship already because we spent literally every single time we could together. And I think I was just like, maybe scared, maybe feeling like it feels like we're already in like a relationship, right? So whatever, that was just that one day, those few hours, and we keep going by. Now, during this time, I have ordered some furniture. So my bed frame comes, right? I finally decided to buy a bed frame. It comes, and then he asked me, he's like, hey, I can help you. I can do it for you. Now, at the time, I didn't know about sexual polarity and all of those things, but to me was more important, authenticity and knowing that I can do things without a man, right? It was really important for me to feel that sovereignty and that independence because I was very codependent on my ex and I didn't have sovereignty with him, right? So it was so important for me to know that I could do it on my own. Like, if I couldn't do it, of course I would ask him, but it was really determined that I could do it. So I called my friend Shiva over again and we did it. I even have a picture of us doing it. I was like, wow, that was so easy. Like, that was fun. All right. So time's going on. Right, he's still in town, like we're texting, like I'm still feeling like this high, I'm feeling so excited, I'm feeling this relationship makes me feel like this dating him feels so good. And he comes over and during this time, okay, so I ordered my furniture. I ordered my furniture and that day I went to go see him at the pool where he was staying, and then it was like, okay, well, he was gonna come over to my house, I was gonna cook dinner, and I said, well, come a little bit later because I have furniture coming, right? So he's like, okay. So the furniture keeps getting delayed. It keeps like supposed to come at 6, it's not coming at 6, and it's coming at 7. So kind of communicating with him, I'm like, I don't know, this furniture keeps getting delayed. Just come over, delayed. Just come over at 8 o'clock. Like just come over at 8. He's like, okay. So the furniture is like keeps getting pushed off. It finally gets here, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this furniture, like I live in a condo, like there's association rules. I was like, they are way past, this is a weekend. They're way past their time. I was like, I'm going to get in so much trouble. Like, I'm kind of like freaking out a little bit. I'm like, but whatever. I'm just going to be like, this is what happened. Like, can you please forgive me? That was my ammo that I was going to enter this. So the people, the moving company or the furniture people come, they bring up I ordered a hanging chair and this white couch. They bring up the hanging chair, or first I think they try the couch. The couch isn't coming up. They try the elevator. It's not fitting in the elevator. They try the stairs. It's not fitting in the stairs. And like they try everything. And I'm like, they're like, it's not coming up. Like, it's not going up there. And I'm like so upset. So they bring up the hanging chair that I have for the outside. They're setting it up, and I'm like, fuck, man. You know, Ron's on his way, and I'm like, God, like, I really want that couch. Like, I really wanted that couch. Like, and I'm feeling like upset about it. I'm feeling like, the fuck, man. So Ron gets there, and I'm like, you know, I tell him how upset I am, and he's like, yeah, I tell him, like, I really want this couch up here. I'm so upset. Like, it's not fitting in the elevator. It's not fitting in the stairs. And this is a couch I really wanted. I took my mom to 5 different furniture stores twice to decide if this was the right couch for me. It's like this 3-seater white couch, like leather, and it has this really beautiful like embroidery on it. Very modern and like very royal, regal looking, right? Very luxury looking. And I really wanted it. So I'm telling him how I feel, which is also not something I would normally do, not something I would normally pour out to a guy that I just met like 2 weeks ago, and that I'm getting to know him, right? But I'm like, and I lean into his body and then come back, or, you know, separate. And then all of a sudden he just kind of like walks away. I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, where is he going? So I go back inside the house where the guys are building the thing. Then he comes back, he goes to the guys, and he says something to them, and then they go outside. He's like, look, you can probably bring the couch up here. He's like, so my condo was like, I'm on the 2nd floor, and then here's the where you walk off, right? And then here, like, there's like a ledge, almost like comes out, like a lot of space, almost like a good 10 feet comes out, and or something like that. And he tells them, like, we can do this. The guy's like, well, I'm willing to try it if you are. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm over here, I'm like, oh my God, they're really gonna try to put this couch over. So I get my phone, right? I'm like, the association's gonna kill me. Like, it's 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, fucking late at night. These people are not supposed to be here this late on the weekend. And now they're gonna get on the fucking roof or on top of this thing that's coming out. So, sure enough, they get the couch up. I still have the video recordings. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Now, this is a really important part for me, because I remember thinking to myself, I was like, wow, he showed up for me. And I had this belief that only older men know how to be there for a woman. Boys my age, Ron and I are 4.5 years apart, don't know how to be there for you. Right? That was a belief that I had for whatever reason. And he completely dismantled that belief in a matter of, minutes. Once I saw that, wow, this man got my couch into my house. Like, he did it for me. I was like, he's someone that's going to show up for me. So the night goes on, time goes by, and I am starting to have like this really insane experiences. So one, I'm cooking, and I'm talking to myself, as I always talk to myself out loud, and I'm pretending I'm talking to him, right? So I'm like talking to him and da-da-da-da, and like, yeah, in our house and this, and like, when we have kids, I'm gonna teach them Spanish, so you're gonna have to learn Spanish. And I caught myself, I was like, whoa, Jessica, you're talking about having babies with this guy? Like, you literally just met him. Like, girl, chill out. Like, chill out. Then I had another instance where I was waiting for the laundry to be done, which is right next to the kitchen. So again, I'm in my kitchen, facing the wall, the laundry's over here, and I'm just chilling there. I think I'm drinking my coffee or something. And then all of a sudden I had this like vision, and it was like him and we're so happy. And I see 2 babies, and it was just like that. I was like, oh my God, like a clairvoyant vision. I was like, that's the freaking dream board thing that I had. That's what I said. This is what I want. I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is wild, right? I don't tell him any of these things that are happening. I don't even know if I even told anybody else. Like, this is like a secret between me and God. Like these things that I'm experiencing, right? So he comes over for the final night before he has to leave the next day to go to Jersey. And he starts to cry. And I'm like, why are you crying? He's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I don't know what are the things that he said to me. I think he might have said some things like, I feel home with you, something like that. And at the time, I had no idea how to take that in at all, like at all. So I just said, it takes a real man to cry type of thing. So he leaves, you know. That's when I got more sad, once he actually was out the door and the door closed and he's walking away from me. That's when I got sad. And I think I texted him that, like, oh yeah, like now I feel sad, like you're leaving to Jersey tomorrow and all of these things. So he leaves to Jersey and he says, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back in like very quickly. He came back like super fast, like within a couple of weeks. So we're still texting. Now we're talking on the phone, and I'm loving so much how I'm feeling with this man. Like, I'm feeling so myself. He's receiving all of me. He's not trying to contort me. He hasn't at all made me feel in any form of way that who I am is wrong, bad, or anything like that. He is just like a breath of fresh air. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy feels so good to me. He comes down again. We go to dinner. And we have our cocktails. I have like some kind of martini, and he has his cocktail or a beer. I can't remember what he had. I think he had a beer. And then we go to cheers, and then I go to drink, and he says, cheers to I love you. I'm midway sipping this, and I almost spit it out. Like literally, like what you see in the movies. Like, I've never experienced that in my life ever. And here I am, just about, my God, 40 minutes I'm telling this story. I'm just about to like, whoa, like it startled me. I'm like, he's like, I love you. And at the time I was like, I have big feelings for him, big, huge feelings for him, but I don't dare say I love you, right? I just came from an extremely traumatic relationship, and I am so nervous that I'm going to get hurt again, right? I feel so good with him. I feel so safe, but I also need to make sure for myself that I really do love this man before I said I love you, because the last time that I said I love you, shit got pretty bad. Right? So, so I can't remember what I said to him. And then also that same night, there was a couple sitting across from us, and they're like, wow, you guys look so cute together. Like, you know, saying all these things. And like, they're also like, we're a long distance relationship or whatever. So, and then the next day we go to lunch with my dad, his wife, his grandma, with Jima, and her husband, which is like basically, even though it's not Ron's biological grandfather, but I literally thought that it was his grandfather because of how he like was with him. Starts talking about like present and like being in the present moment and all these things, which is weird because we had just been talking about things. I think we were talking about listening to Edgar Tolle, The Power of Now, or that was all about like presence. And we were communicating about that. We were having our own private conversation about that before we went to lunch. And then here's this guy, 80 something years old, talking about presence. And we were like, wow, that's really weird. So these were the types of things that were happening. That same lunch, my dad's wife looks at us. She's like, I don't know. She's like, I see you guys like married, like you're married, like he's your husband, you're his wife, like married. Like I just see that, like I feel that, right? So these were like the types of things that were happening to us, like people telling us like, wow, how long have you been together? You guys look really cute together. Like compliments to me, and like, cause like my magnetism was so on point, just being so authentic, just how I was feeling with him, the premonitions, the ways I was talking to myself as if he was already there and I'm already talking about our future. How like people around us were like saying things to us. These were like the serendipity types of things that were happening, of life, of God, of the universe, saying like, he's the one. He's the one. So when I had these visions, I had those feelings. I'm like, this is it. Like within those 3 weeks that we were together, I had this clear, cognizant feeling again, like he's the one. Like this is it. This is it. This is what I've been looking for my entire life. This is it, right? Then we're having all these other external experiences of life showing us. Life is evolving. Time is going by. In May, I start to feel again, I start to feel this sadness coming through me. What ends up being is that this abortion that I had like 7 years ago, however many years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, can't remember now, I was coming to the surface. And I wasn't able to fully heal it with my previous relationship because of he couldn't hold me through that. And now that this relationship is finally done, a lot of things are starting to come up that weren't healed while I was with him, which this is one of them. And this was another time like, okay, Jessica, you got to be your authentic self. Like you have to tell him what happened. And fear that he may judge me, right? Because remember, at this point in my life, I had a lot of judgment about abortion still, right? I was like, I don't know what he believes. I don't know if he's going to be like, wow, like you horrible woman. Like, why would you do something like that, right? So I tell him the story and he's like, wow. He's like, that guy's a jerk. That guy's like an asshole. I'm like, yeah. So he was like extremely supportive. So I was able to fully heal the abortion story with him, because Ron gave me the space to do that. He's the whole time, and till this day, Ron has never clipped my wings ever. He's only allowed me to expand into more. I'm like, I can be all of it who I can be with him. He doesn't make me feel small. He doesn't try to contort me. Nothing like that. In September, I went out with my girlfriends one night for my girlfriend's birthday, and we went out to the nightclub. I forget to text him. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to text him that I went there and that I brought it up, right? So the next morning, I'm like, good morning. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I forgot to text you. Like, we went out and we came back at this time. And he's like, oh, don't worry. And then I keep apologizing to him. And he's like, why are you being so apologetic? Like, it's fine. Like, I trust you. And I was like, oh my God. Of course. This is what trust feels like. It feels like if they don't text me, I know they're fine. You know? Like, if they forget to text me, I'm not going to freak out and just be like, oh, okay. You know, maybe just whatever. Like, this is what trust feels like, right? This is what it feels like when you know who you are, you know that you're loyal, you know that you're not going to go talk to any other men, and he also knows that, and there's no insecurity in you going out with your girlfriends. I was like, wow, this feels so fucking good. Fucking good. So on one of the trips that I went to go see him, I finally told him that I loved him through a letter. I was still a little too much of a chicken shit to tell him like in his face that. So I tell him in a letter that I love him, right? Because, you know, then finally I said it in person. Because I was really scared. Like, this was a big deal for me to finally say I love you to him, because like that means I'm really like giving myself to him, right? Like my heart, I'm really giving it to him. So time goes by and I'm just feeling so free. Like, he's always like a breath of fresh air. I can spread my wings. He never makes me feel small, ever. Like, I'm feeling like this is what it feels like to be in a relationship. This is what it feels like to be in a relationship. This is what it feels like. This is it. Definitely not what I would. There is no ugly side to this relationship ever. So time goes by. He comes, spends, you know, all of winter. He brings his dog Leo. Love it. We're having such a great time. Like, oh, my family loves him. His family loves me. Like, everything just feels so right. Like, duh. That's how it feels like when it's the one. So, then a year goes by. We're at our year mark. And then he asked me if I would move up there. And in a split second, I'm like, yes. I've always wanted to live there. I've never had a chance to live in the Four Seasons. I've only had one season my entire life, which is Florida, summer. And I would love to move up there and to be with him. Like, I moved up there first for myself. Like, do I want to go up there? And it was like a resounding yes. Florida was pushing me out. I was having this strong feeling like I don't want to be in Boca anymore. Like, the only reason I was there before was because of my previous relationship, and I don't need to be here anymore. So, long story short, I move up to Jersey, having so much fun, feeling like when I was with him, like, God, my heart is like exploding with so much love. Like, oh, he's the one, like, he's it. Like, I knew I found it. And 4 years there, came back here for another year. Then Ron moved down, and then all the things. And now we're here in our first home, our first home. So what I want to share with you about this final piece is that I was the embodiment of the one. When I left my ex, I knew I was the one, right? I knew that, and I was no longer available for anything else less than what I deeply desired. And I was not willing and available for anybody to bring me down. I was like, I feel whole and complete with who I am. And I'm going to be my full authentic self. I'm not going to put on any kind of mask to impress somebody or to think that who I am is not enough. Because I know, because I am the one. I knew this about myself. And it's a matter of, do they match up with me? So I was already in this frequency. I wasn't jaded, right? This is a huge part. This is one of the reasons why I believe that Ron came to me within the 3 months after I had broken up with my ex, because I wasn't jaded with him. I knew that he was a hurt person who couldn't get out of his own way with his own insecurities. Like, I just knew it. And because we were a shadow match relationships are not, from my understanding, from my experiences with working with clients and working with a bunch of, and through friends, through my family, and especially working with my clients, because they really tell you all the things, right? They don't hide it back because that's what they hire you for. Shadow match relationships aren't meant to be together. They are a lesson and a season in your life to teach you the strongest and most powerful lessons to standing in your personal power. That is what these relationships are meant to be. A showcase of where you don't feel whole and complete with yourself. And the initiation is to feel whole and complete with yourself, right? This is what all shadow match relationships are based on, whether it's someone that you are with for many years or you've had few relationships like that. There's no right or wrong reason. I have mentioned this before. I would have dated 3 separate men. If I had the guts to finally say no, I would have still met 2 other men that were still in the same frequency of him, because I had to learn that. I learned that inside of the relationship. I was not jaded. I had forgiven him. I had compassion. I knew he was hurt. And the reason why I could do that is because I had compassion for myself. I had forgiven myself for all the things that I have done. The things that I have done that have hurt people came from my own pain. If I knew what my actions would have hurt other people, if I had a better moral compass, if I had better values of myself as a woman and what my actions, how they impact other people, I would have never done the things that I've done. But my own pain made me make really bad decisions and hurt people and say things and do things that are horrible. And I had to forgive myself for that, which means that when I looked at him and I saw the actions that he was doing, I knew it was coming from his own pain. And I had to take radical responsibility of saying, I chose to be with this person throughout this entire time. I chose to stay in all of those things, right? Those were part of my initiations. So radical responsibility, radical ownership, compassion, and forgiveness is what allowed me to be such a clean frequency with men and within myself that I was like, I am here. Like, I'm the one. And I didn't attach, because I knew I was the one. I wasn't attached to a man having to be the one. You know what I mean? I wasn't attached to a relationship. I was always committed to myself first and foremost, and to my authenticity. And I was always willing to face those fears if the person that I was dating didn't align with me and who I was. But Ron did every single time. And of course he would, because he's the one. I was the one, and he's the one. When I met it, I knew it within my body. So there is a difference between the thing with shadow match relationships and with the one. You can still feel a sense of a very strong and powerful connection to them and think that they're the one, but they're not. It's like a lower chakra energy with the one. It's like a full body. All your chakras are aligned, and it's like it encompasses everyone around you. In the shadow relationships, it's like very much like you against the world type of thing. And there's very low. It's like the things are here. It's like, it's just you two. It's a very selfish energy. This energy is not selfish. It's very open. It's very authentic. And it's very much about the sword of truth, right? And like I said, there's no ugly side to these relationships. Are there challenges and things like that come across, right? You're an imperfect human. He's an imperfect human. Your shadows come up. These are things that we've had to work through. But from being each other and who we are and our desire to always stand in truth and to always clean and purify and be honest with ourselves and work on our things, like we heal each other just from being ourselves. This is what the sacred union frequency is about, which is what the one is. The one, sacred union, this is the same thing. It is a holy relationship. So this is why I created Finding the One, what it takes to have a relationship of a lifetime. Because there are going to be some huge foundational things that need to shift in order for you to be in that full alignment for this high level of sacred union love, right? This relationship is not about like just finding a husband to have a husband. It's beyond that. It's like, I want a husband, and I'm gonna have a husband, and it's going to be the one is the husband, not just some guy that you fit each other's holes with, right? It is like this powerful union that is in service to each other, in service to yourself, in service to each other, and in service to all around us. That's the energy of it. So in the one, Finding the One, I'm going to take you on 4 days of the things, the lessons that I had to go through, the things that I also teach my clients in order to be in this frequency. It's going to be a masterpiece. I'm going to be unveiling the hard truths, things that some people maybe have not. Like when my clients come to me, they tell me, you are the most authentic and real relationship coach I have ever met. Because I'm not going to be talking to you just about like manifestation, like close your eyes, envision it, and there he is. I didn't do that shit. I did not do any of that. There were key elements that I did do that created my own inner union, which is what we're going to be talking about. And that inner union and being the greatest love for yourself is what attracts the one, right? Closing your eyes, pretending as if I don't know how much that really does shift at a core energetic level. I don't know. I don't think so, because that's for me, this is really not my vibe. I do believe in other things that we will talk about, because of course you are still creating your life, which we're gonna dive into that. So it is free. It is 4 days with the bonus Q&A. And there is a VIP section for 11 women for $44 for women who are walking the flame of truth, who want to have advice about where they are with men and their relationships, and to clear up the nuances that are required for you to be in this space. To release all the things that are not serving you so that you can be in your most authentic expression and be closer and closer to him. All right, my loves, that's it for today. Babe and I are going to go shopping for furniture. We're going to finally hopefully get a couch, and I will talk to you soon. I have so much more to share with you about this. Oh, and we have a change of date, which is September 11th. That's the new date for this masterclass. So if you're interested, message me and I'll send you the link.